Welcome to Ahead of the Curve. This is your host, Jonathan Gellner, and thank you so much for joining us. Today's show is powered by Stick and Ball TV, the baseball and softball streaming platform. If you're listening to this, then you must have a growth mindset. So I would highly encourage you to check out stickandball.tv to listen to some of the greatest softball and baseball coaches in the country. Again, check it out at stickandball.tv or on the Stick and Ball TV mobile app. Today's episode is sponsored by What About Baseball? It's no secret that we live in a world with constant electronic distractions. Families are spending less time together and kids can't look up from their devices. But the What About Baseball brand is here to help. What About Baseball is a family-owned, baseball-centric business whose focus is on providing the best baseball toys, games, and accessories to bring families and friends back together to bond over the great sport of baseball. Starting with their best-selling Classic Edition board game, What About Baseball offers fun and exciting gameplay for fans at all levels, from beginning to expert. Whether you want to teach someone the basics of counting balls and strikes, or you are deciding if you should call the suicide squeeze, What About Baseball's Classic Edition board game is a proven winner and has the reviews to prove it. Even better, it's made right here in the USA. What About Baseball would like to reward Ahead of the Curve listeners 20% off their best-selling board game and free shipping. Go to whataboutbaseball.com/curve to get your offer. Once again, that's whataboutbaseball.com/curve. On today's show, we have on Mitch Thompson, head baseball coach at McLennan Community College. Mitch is among the most highly respected coaches and recruiters in all of college baseball. He is beginning his 8th year as the head baseball coach at McLennan. He began to rebuild the program to prominence as the national runner-up in 2015 and headed back to the World Series, placing 5th in 2017. McLennan has also had the top JUCO draft pick in 2 of the last 3 years, and they are only one of 7 Division I junior colleges to have 40 or more wins in each of the last 5 years. Before being named McLennan head coach, Thompson spent 1 season as the South Texas area scouting supervisor for the Kansas City Royals organization after spending nearly 2 decades on staff at Baylor University, where he was the Bears hitting instructor and primary recruiter. Mitch also began his career as a graduate assistant for the legendary coach Ron Polk at Mississippi State. So on the show, we discuss how to build culture at a JUCO where every year half of your team moves on. We talk practice development and design, and how to make the big time where you are. Here is Mitch Thompson. Mitch, welcome to the show.
Hey, thanks a lot for having me. Excited to have the opportunity to speak with you tonight.
Definitely. Well, I'm really excited to get to learn from you today. I know that you are truly one of the more respected guys in the region and the country, and you and your staff have McLennan just rolling. And so I'm really excited to get to learn from you today. But I truly like the first question, I guess, that I want to ask. So we rewind all the way back to your first year of coaching. Can you tell us who the head coach that you got the opportunity to work for? And then can you kind of tell us some different things that you learned from him?
Sure. I was fortunate enough to get my start in college coaching, working for probably one of the greatest of all time, in Ron Polk at Mississippi State. Was blessed to get an opportunity to be a graduate assistant, and Coach Polk was just a phenomenal guy to learn from, learning the details of how to go about this thing, and dotting your I's and crossing your T's. So it was really a big head start for me, and a great experience. And Coach Polk set me on the right path. So I haven't quit yet.
No, I love that. And I think my first year of coaching, I didn't get to coach with Coach Polk, but I did get the baseball Bible handed to me. And they said, if you've got one book that you've got to read, you've got to get the baseball. I think it's the coach's handbook, I think is what it's technically called.
Baseball playbook. That's playbook
right.
By Ron Polk. Yeah. No, I've got my copy that he gave me back in the fall of 1989, and it's cherished. And for any coaches out there that don't have it, you're nuts. It's got everything in it you'd ever need, and it'll flat make you think about some things that you need to take care of. So give old coach a call and buy a book from him. He'll love it, and you'll gain a lot of knowledge from it.
Definitely. And so you've gotten to be in the region for quite a long time. I think as I was reading, you spent 23 years at the D1 level and 22 in the Big 12. And so I guess, getting your head coaching job, you're very familiar with the lay of the land and Texas in general. And so I want to know, so you get to McLennan and then you have, you go through the interview process, you nail it, you get the job. What did your vision look like for those listening who are like, in your same position as far as just getting into head coaching or trying to go through year one and such a weird year too, but go through year one and really hammer what is truly important. So can you walk us through really what your vision for the program was and then how you went about implementing that on a daily basis?
Well, I'll try to. I'm blessed to be at a really good place, a place that's had great tradition for a long, long time. McLennan's, a junior college program that has won national championships before, that competes at a very high level on a year in, year out basis. So when the job was open, it was obviously the one that was of interest to me, being that especially that I lived here in Waco and knew what it could be. And so, my vision for the program was just to try and return the program to greatness, to try and be relevant nationally on a year in, year out basis, produce really talented players, really quality people, and make an impact on kids' lives. I mean, our goal is obviously to win a national championship, and once we won one, we want to go win another one. But there's a lot of things that go into that. So I think that when you say, what's your vision? My vision was to recruit really good kids, to bring them in and help them be accountable, to help them learn what it's going to take to be successful at the next level. And then to win games and win championships where other kids want to come be a part of this place. And like I said, I'm blessed to be at a really good school with a place that has great facilities, has great tradition, has great support with our administration. And so the sky really is the limit here.
I love that. And sorry, I'm going to take a step back from the question list because I love getting to see the backdrop of coaches' offices. And so I'm seeing a couple of different signs and I've got to ask, so can you walk us through some of the signage that you've got behind you and then what that means to your program?
Well, I've got a sign that just sits right there. You see behind me, it says "Big Time is where you are." That's the chair that we put every recruit in when they show up and we start our visit. And I really think that guys have to understand that and we as coaches have to remember it too. If you ever want a better way of saying, "Hey, man, you've got to be where your feet are," and don't ever say, "Well, I'm going to do this when I make it to the big time." You're never going to get there. You've got to be big time where you are right now. Over by the door is the process sign, and I've got that right by the door so that when we walk out as coaches, that we remember that, hey, this is a process. We're not going to be perfect. We're not going to be excellent on day one. It's a process. We've got to help these kids understand it. And that'll just try and help remind us to keep our, our expectations where they need to be and to keep our focus on what it needs to be and to helping these kids become who they are. So that's the backdrop. And then there's the big picture of Grand Junction right behind us. That was our first win at Grand Junction in 2015. And it's a great memory for me. And it's something that I want to be very visible to anybody that comes in here in the office. There's lots of other stuff on the wall. I mean, I can show you around a little bit, I guess. Picture there. We got the American flag, picture of our team breaking out. We've got the McLennan sign, lots of good stuff. And then I've got above our desk a McLennan family sign, McLennan baseball family, because I really believe that, for a program to be what it needs to be, you're going to have to treat these kids like their family. And so that's kind of what we're about.
I really like that a lot. And thank you for showing us around and giving the Cribs version of your office. That's cool. Well, one of the I think I see is the one that's by the door that says "Do what we do."
Yeah.
Especially that really resonates with me too, along with all of the other ones. But with all of the things that you see that can try and grab our interest online, that really resonates with me because it's like these are what's going to make us successful. If we take care of the process, big time where you are, all of these things, but we have to do what we do. We can't just try and do what everybody else is doing. Is that something that is intentional that you guys are trying to do on a daily basis too?
No question. I think I think that just simply goes back to a confidence thing. Believing in who you are, believing in where you're at, believing in your preparation for what you're doing, having a purpose. I think in today's day and age, it's real simple for kids and for coaches and everybody to always look for the next best great thing, instead of really focusing on the things that matter. Just taking care of your business on a daily basis. Do what we do, and believing in what we believe in to help make us successful, and then just being consistent with it on a daily basis. And I think it has great value, great meaning.
Oh, wonderful, for sure. And it leads me into my next question. So you are the head of the program, and every year you may have new coaches, new players, but you've got standards and guidelines and rules that you want to make sure that they adhere to be successful. So you've talked about doing what we do. You've talked about making it a family environment, and I would love to hear what you guys are, besides those terms, what you guys are preaching as far as rules or standards, or hey, this is what we do here, this is how we act here, this is what a McLennan baseball player looks like today, and this is how we're going to be successful. But I'd love that if you could take over from there.
Yeah, I really think that our rules are really simple. I mean, I've tried to keep them as simple as possible. I've seen a lot of different people that have a long list of rules, and I think sometimes coaches put themselves into a corner with their rules and their regulations. Are you gonna hold them up? Are you gonna make the kids all abide by them and everything? So I keep mine really simple, and it gives me all the freedom and all the flexibility that I would ever need in dealing with our kids. And the rules for us are just, I mean, here's how simple they are, right? Go to class, be on time, do what's right. And I think that those three things while you're here cover everything. Go to class means, hey man, your education is really important. You don't go to class, I'm gonna take care of it, and we won't be playing baseball. Be on time means that you respect other people, you respect their time, you respect their commitment to what they're doing, whether it's in class, whether it's at practice, whether it's a meeting with somebody else. It's showing respect for the other person. And then do what's right just simply means that, that covers everything from how you treat other people, a discipline thing, on the field, off the field, serve your teammates, serve other people, do what's right. And if we do those three things, then I think that we're setting our kids up to have great success here at the junior college level and at the college level for sure. So I really don't want to make a whole lot of other rules. I mean, I'll be tough on the kids early in the fall about their appearance, about their haircuts, about their beards. And I think that my reasoning for that makes a lot of sense. I think for these players that are looking to get recruited, you always want to look young. And so I tell guys, hey, we're going to shave every day. You don't shave, I'm going to get on you. You're going to have your hair is going to be neat and trimmed, and you're going to look like an All-American kid, because that's who people want to recruit. That's who people want to believe in. And so I try and create that discipline with them in the fall. Then during the springtime, I kind of back off of it a little bit, and I don't worry about it quite as much because I think the kids handle themselves pretty well. And, guys like to wear a beard occasionally, just like you. And, hey, there ain't nothing wrong with that. And as long as their hair is not too crazy and just drawing attention to themselves, then I let that stuff all go. I think that's eyewash. So go to class, be on time, do what's right. Kind of covers it all.
That's fantastic. Oh, I love that. And I do wear a beard, and just for the fact
I
that
would too if I could. I just can't.
Yeah.
I'm still waiting for it to come in.
Yeah. Well, mainly for me, I think, teaching high school kids, I get confused, especially with the masks that we have to wear now. I get confused for being a high school kid more often than I would think that I would. But, that's kind of the reasoning behind it. And so, but with you've gotten to take a full, like, go 2 feet or both feet in, right, with this process of being a head coach, and I haven't. And so getting to hear, well, every head coach talks about building the culture, right? I mean, that's at every press conference. That's every successful book that you hear and you read, or every successful book that you read and everything that you hear. You've got, but not many can really define how that happens on a daily basis. And so it's really hard. It's a hard thing to really grasp. And I think it's very context specific, because, you could be very successful at McLennan and then go somewhere else, and you're going to have to make some tweaks just like everyone else is. But what are some things that you have done to really build a culture? And I think that you're, with the signage, I think that's right on. You're talking about it and you're preaching the same things over and over. But you hear this all the time. And so I'd love to hear your thoughts on how we build culture.
Yeah, I think culture is probably as important as anything that a coach can create. I mean, I'm fortunate. I'm here in Waco right now, and we all just watched our Baylor Bears men's basketball team win a national championship, and they talked about the culture of joy, and Jesus, others, yourself. And I think that there's a lot of truth to that, especially for that team. I saw it happen, and I saw the coach. I know Scott, and he's a great guy, and they live it. For me, culture is something that's never ending. I think it's got to be led by the head coach to start with. For me, I think culture means taking the focus off of yourself and putting on other people. Some things that I kind of concentrate on for myself is trying to make sure that I'm out there busting my tail in practice, that I'm not too big to get out and help put equipment on the field, that I'm not too big to carry something or do something and take care of that. When I first got here to McLennan 8 years ago, one of my first practices, I'll never forget it, where I'm talking about what we're going to do. And all of a sudden I heard the sophomores on the team start yelling, "Freshman, that's a freshman job. Go do that." And I thought, how crazy is this, that we have half of our team that thinks they're going to take advantage of the other half of our team? How am I ever going to build team when that's taking place on a daily basis? I think that culture just means that you're going to serve other people always. That you're going to take the focus off of yourself. It's not all about you. It's about the team, and that's kind of been my goal with this thing on a daily basis. It's something that I think, again, at our level, at the junior college level, it's really a difficult thing to build, because it's difficult from the standpoint that the players all change every year. Half your team changes on any given year. And so, your freshmen that are coming in, they don't even know if they belong yet. Your sophomores are all halfway out the door looking at what's the next best place. Where am I going to go from here? When you continue to lose half your team every year. And so it makes it hard at this level to be excellent every year. I think it's dependent upon us as coaches then to really show that leadership and to force guys that, hey, we don't have any job that's a freshman job. Every job we have is a team job. Anything that needs to be done, we need someone to go do it. And guys got to find ways to serve the team and serve the program.
I love that. And I think that's been something that has been passed down for forever, of the, hey, this is a freshman. I am right there with you. I hate that. And it drives me crazy. And so I always go back to the book Legacy, where James Kerr talks about sweeping the sheds, and that the oldest and most tenured guys in the program of the All Blacks, they always do the hardest jobs. And their sheds are their locker rooms. And so all of the oldest guys take that job because they understand that they want to show the younger guys what it's like to be an All Black. And so I've always loved that. I always thought that was a really, really, cool and culture builder when you're guys that shouldn't have to do that because they've earned the right not to, per se, are willing to go that extra step and do that. And so I really like that. And, another thing I know that you do well, and I can't wait to get into that here in just a second, but I'd love, and that's offense, but I'd love to hear you walk us through. You mentioned, you do only have them for probably 2 years. This year may be a weird year for most, but you have them for 2 years. And so you get them in August, and you're honestly, you're having to reteach just about everything, I feel like. And so you get them in August. Kind of walk us through your off-season calendar. And I know that that's a lot to ask, but just different segments or different things that you want them to make sure that they know in the off season, things that are important. Go to class being one of them, especially for players listening. But just kind of walk us through the first day on campus to when they leave for winter break.
Yeah, we're gonna start practice the first day that we can, whatever that day is, and for us, typically it's been the first day of school. We get them moved in. Make sure everybody starts to get to know each other. I usually have the team out to my house for a cookout. The freshmen come out one day, sophomores come out another. I kind of line out what I expect of both groups and tell them kind of what to expect and give them an opportunity to think through things about what's coming. Tell the sophomores that I expect them to be leaders, that they understand what we've done and they understand how we want things done, and I want them to help the young freshmen figure it out. But then we start practicing, we get after it. And probably the biggest thing that you just mentioned that makes the most sense to me is that we have to start from scratch every year. If I ever assume that somebody knows something, I'm making a mistake. And then I have to make sure that I let these kids that we bring into our program, I let them compete and do what they do before I start making changes to help improve them. In other words, I've got to let them fail before I can start correcting their hitting mistakes, or, hey, dude, you're going to have to make some adjustments here with how your arm works and what you're doing pitching wise and all these things. The student's ready to listen once he fails, and before then he's really not ready. And so we brought these kids in. We've got to put them in situations that allow them to have the opportunity to fail. And then be there to help pick them up and get them going again. We will go with our fall practice all the way until November, and so from August, first day of class in August, September, October. I mean, we're going 6-7 days a week. I will give them days off, but at the same time, it's a grind, and it's part of the deal of helping these guys understand what hard work is and helping them to create the thought process that we deserve success because we have worked for it. We'll be lifting 3 or 4 times a week while we're doing that, at least twice a week at 6 o'clock in the morning. The 6 o'clock weight workouts probably aren't the player's favorite thing, but I always tell them, hey, you're going to be doing this at the 4-year school when you leave here. And it helps me as a coach. It gives me some information. I mean, I know everybody's up and ready to go to 8 o'clock class when we lift at 6 o'clock in the morning. I know what went on the night before when we lift at 6 o'clock in the morning. It helps create discipline with the team that, they've got to help each other, make sure each other get there and that we take care of it. And so we lift 3-4 times a week throughout the entire fall as well, because strength is such an important part of the game. And, we'll do that in the morning. Then we'll be out there all afternoon in practice and breaking it down, every aspect, the individual defensive part, the team defense part, the hitting, the base running, the pitching, start covering it all. I mean, one thing I did learn from Ron Polk is to expect players to know the finer details of the game and be able to execute the little things that are going to separate you from other people. You're going to have to coach them. You're going to have to teach them. And so, we'll just start really hammering on the minorest to minor details and try and make these guys aware of it, and then hope that we have the right makeup kid that they want to take all that information and really apply it to their game. Once the fall's over, we continue our lifting program. We're going to do that up until Christmas break when they go home. Probably the biggest challenge that we have is getting our kids back here in January where they're in shape, where their arms are in shape, where their legs are in shape, where they haven't lost all the work that we've put in throughout the entire fall. Because once we get back in January, we'll typically have about 2 weeks of practice, and then it's ding, ding, it's game time. Strap it on, here we go. And so we have to really come up with a really good take-home program for them. Here's when you're going to be lifting. Here's what we expect you to be doing running-wise. Here's what we expect you to be doing lifting-wise, throwing-wise, so that your arm's in shape, your body's in shape, you're ready to really get after it and compete once you get here, because we just don't have the time to get you in shape to be ready to go. And for the most part, we've had good success with that, because the guys that we bring in, I think, are very focused. They have a plan. They have goals that they want to accomplish, where they want to go, how they want to, what they want to do. And so for the most part, they come in and they're ready to go there. But the fall is really huge for us. And, it's a lot of fun for coaches. It's a lot of work. But you're right, with a new team every year, you've got to start from the ground up. And, just to give you an example, running from home to first base, there's 17 different things, and Coach Polk, he taught me 17 different things you need to be doing as you're running from home to first base. So, let's try and have that kind of attention to detail and get these kids to understand why you're doing that. And I think that gives them a step up as well.
17. I'm going to have to reread my
Yeah, you'll go back and reread it. He'll have them laid out for you.
That's wonderful. And I think that most college coaches share that same thing with you of the winter break. Whenever they have those couple weeks off, it's like the most nervous time of the season. And I do want to rewind just a little bit before we get into preseason and then in-season stuff. And so you were the hitting guy at Baylor for I don't mean that in a rude way, but 18 years, quite a long time. So you have to work with a lot of really, really good hitters. And so you're, in the setting that we're in, which is the team setting, as much time as we would love to be able to fix swings mechanically, I'm sure we're not afforded with that. We're having to do some of that, but also look at the team as a whole, because there's only one of you and there's, 30 players. And so with that being said, what are some different strategies that you use in regards to team offense? And we could do a whole show on just learning the swing and all of those things, but especially in the time that we're in and the positions that we're in. At the end of the day, they ask how many runs we score too. And tell us a little bit about how you go developing team offense, getting guys to buy into that. How do we score runs, and how do we train that?
Well, I think, first of all, the college coaches, we're fortunate. We get to pick the kids that are going to be on our team. And, all great hitting coaches, we're really good when we have good hitters, and we're not very good when our guys can't play. So for us, we get to pick our team. The high school coaches are the ones that I think have the extreme challenge of how to be successful doing that. And, they've got to take what they've got, and they've got to make something of it. If I'm picking and choosing, what would I want, and what did I always try and build our offensive team around at Baylor? What do I like to build our offensive team around here like? And sometimes we're more successful than others. We've got a good offense, we've got good players, typically speaking, but I love to have a team that can win in a lot of different ways. I want a team that can win with power. I want a team that can win with speed. I want a team that can play defense. I've always liked recruiting the athletic players. Guys who are athletes that can run. Speed's something that you can't coach. Typically speaking, if a guy can run, he can run. And so let's learn to utilize that speed. And that speed will in turn help our power guys, because if we can get guys with speed on the base ahead of our power hitters, it's going to get our power guys more fastballs to hit. And our power guys are going to get our speed guys more breaking balls to run on. So I like to put together a team that's got the ability to do both. We've had several different years over the course of time where, we've had a team that could hit 100 home runs and steal 100 bases. That's a really neat accomplishment in college baseball if your team can do something like that. And we've been fortunate enough to be able to do that a few times, but it takes special kids. They've got to buy into the whole system and the whole plan, and to do that, the high school guys got to take what they give. And I just think the biggest thing that we can do as coaches is then, and we even have to do it at the college level. Once we pick our teams, sometimes we've made mistakes. Sometimes we thought a kid could hit this way and hit with this kind of power, and he can't. And so we've got to be able to adapt and ask our kids to do what they can do. Again, it's crazy to ask a guy who can run to be a power guy if he doesn't have that ability. We've got to make him a bunter. We've got to be able to teach him how to utilize his speed and to make it the best, best of use for the team that way. So we just got to be aware of what our kids can do, and then try and give them every opportunity to do that. You don't ask a control pitcher to try and throw it 100 miles an hour. It doesn't work very good.
No doubt. So you get them back from winter break, and you guys don't have very long to get them ready before game one. And so what's the process there? Because you spent all fall kind of laying the groundwork for what it's going to be like in the spring. So how do we get them ready in January?
Well, and really, we do try to get them make the fall as game-like as can be in the spring. But it's even weird how we do that. That doesn't make a lot of sense sometimes. Everybody gets to play in the fall. So, we're playing a doubleheader, and this guy will start one game and this guy will start another part of the scrimmage. Or, one guy will play 7 innings, another guy will play 7 innings. Each pitcher will go out and throw 2 innings. And, you get to springtime and it's not like that. Everybody doesn't get to play all the time. You've kind of earned your playing time. You've earned your ability to be on the mound to do that. So we got to communicate that with the guys too. But no, very short time to get guys going. It'll take us 5 weeks into our season. We'll be 5 weeks into games before our pitchers even reach the 100 pitch mark, where we feel like we can let them stay out there for 100 pitches during the game. And I think that's kind of different, because I think a lot of people probably get there a little quicker than we do. But at the same time, we want to keep these kids. Nobody's ever gotten better when they're hurt, so we got to keep them healthy if they're gonna keep improving and keep getting better. And so, just got to have a plan. You got to have patience. You got to be smart when you're scheduling. You got to not overschedule and schedule too many games. Lots of different things that go into this whole thing if you want to be successful. And you got to put yourself in a position to do that, and put your kids in a position to do that. I don't know if that really answers the question or not, but there's at least a few thoughts on that, I guess.
Well, for sure. And then you get to the time period that we're in. Once you feel like, okay, we've laid the groundwork, by this time, which is now April 18th, you've got your lineup set for the most part, and you're really trying to roll into championship season. So once we get to this time of year, you hear a lot of coaches that say we need to start to scale back on some things. We need to do this or that, and cut practices down a little bit, or just whatever to save their legs. But what are some different ways that you found to be successful to either cut down on time or cut out completely, or just different ways that you found to be able to save some time to give them either a breather or just keep them fresh?
Well, you got to give them days off in the springtime too. You got to let them have days to recharge. We're going to continue to lift our guys even in the springtime. Our guys are young and they're 18 years old, and they've got to get stronger. And so we're going to continue to lift. I think that helps us recover. But you do have to back off a little bit on practice time. But I think your practice time should be able to shorten up. It shouldn't take you as long to work at your bunt defense. You ought to be able to go through it real quickly and encourage guys to get mental reps while they're watching their teammates do the exact same thing. I think the mental rep thought process is really important. If you have a team of 15 pitchers and you're working bunt defense, you can't run out there and have all 15 pitchers execute all 3 or 4 of your bunt defenses without it taking forever. You've got to have mental reps where they watch somebody else do it and they're going through it in their head as to how they would execute it. But we try and shorten it up, work maybe 1 or 2 things of team defense every day, getting our ground ball work and our fly ball work, our game reacts in the outfield during our BP time, and really utilizing that well. We also have to be very cognizant, at our level, we're playing double headers all the time. And, double headers are so tough, man. I mean, we're playing 16 innings a day. And for the most part, you are using, basically the same starters. 16 innings on a Wednesday. Hey, Thursday's going to have to be pretty light. If you're going to play 16 innings again on Saturday, hey, Friday's going to have to be pretty light. It doesn't make a whole lot of sense to just grind these guys into the ground. So you try to hit on the important things, continue to work on the fundamental things, but the things that need repetition, and spend as much time on the things that happen the most is what I would encourage guys to do. That's what we've been successful at doing.
So let me turn the question around on you on things that happen the most. What do you see maybe you did it earlier, or you see other coaches doing things that don't really happen that often? The first thing that comes to my mind is like first and third, early steal, defense, or, first and third, and we're going for 45 minutes in general.
Yeah.
But is there any other ones that come to mind?
No, but I mean, that's exactly what I'm talking about. That doesn't happen very often. You've got to hit on it. You got to continue to keep it in focus. And, we'll practice that once a week, maybe for 10 minutes, and that's really quickly as we do. Contrast that with, we'll do fly ball communication probably at least twice a week, because fly ball communication happens all the time. And, if you want your guys to communicate and you want that out when you need it, you never need a problem with fly ball communication. It's going to happen much more often. We'll spend way more time on field and ground balls and giving our infielders repetitions, field and ground balls, because those happen all the time. Those type of things, I think we've got to be smart about. We've got to be smart about how we're going to practice base running. What's the 2 or 3 things base running wise that are really important to you? For me, it's line drive reads, making sure that we don't give up double plays on line drive outs to the infield, ball and dirt reads, things like that. And so we'll practice those type of things, once a week, very quickly, 10 minutes, just to refocus everybody's attention on it and the importance of it. And then the other thing is we try to find those things where it really came into play, and maybe use that in a video session. Hey, here's where we executed a really nice look at our fly ball communication, how it came into play right here, and how we got the out when we needed to, or how we executed our bunt defense, or here's a ball and dirt read. Look here, this guy really executed it well, got a great jump. And reemphasize the importance of those things to the players, so that while you are practicing, you're practicing it with purpose, that they don't just get tired of, oh, geez, here we go again, fly ball communication. We try to do fly ball communication, simple thought process. I'm sure every coach in America thinks this, but every time we have a high sky, sunny day and wind, the trifecta, we're going to go out there and shoot that machine up there as high as we can, and try and make it as difficult as we can, because if we can do that, then game day, we know that they can handle any situation that's given to them. So, little ideas like that, I think that's what we try to do during the season.
Well, you're talking about most days in the spring in Waco, Texas, right?
No question. High sky with wind. We better be able to handle the wind. If we can't do that, we're in big time trouble.
No doubt. Well, so another thing that I really find interesting and getting to learn from other coaches is, what they do after the season, because you got guys that are moving on and you want to thank them for the different things that they brought to the program and wish them the best of luck. And then you've got, for you in particular, you've got a whole nother class that's coming back. How do you get those guys ready for the next step, as far as, hey, you're a sophomore now, these were some things that you did awesome this year, here were some things that I would really, I think that you need to do to take the next step. But do you have those conversations? What do those look like? And then do you have an outline, or just something that we can learn from you and do something similar?
Yeah, I'm sorry, I don't have anything on paper outline wise or anything, but I think you got to have those kind of conversations with guys, especially to congratulate them on the hard work that they've done and what's coming next for them and where they're going, and how much, you got to keep telling these kids, how much better they are for being here. And some of them may not have had the success yet come in game time or whatever. But, I think it's important to encourage them. Hey, man, do you remember when you got here, you weighed 175 pounds? And look at you now. You've put on 10 or 15 pounds. You're making progress, and really refocus them. We've got to continue to move the bar. This is where you came in at. This is where you're at now. This is where I think you can get to. What do you think? And then I really encourage the guys to communicate with me, because when I hear what they have to say, it really helps. It really helps know with the makeup of the kid. Is he going to be able to make those kind of jumps? And because there's a lot of different levels of kid out there now. Some are really driven, and some are guys that you really you've got to draw the picture for them as to what you see in them. And I think that's something that, I think we've had success here because we have a picture in our mind as to where we think each kid can get to. And I hope my picture is always a little higher than maybe even what he's able to achieve, that I'm always trying to bring the very best out of every kid. But if we're going to get them to give us great effort, we've got to communicate. We've got to line out the program. We've got to line out, hey, here's what I need you to do this summer. Some kids need to go play in the summertime. Some kids need to train in the summertime. They'd be much more successful in spending the summer in the weight room, spending the summer on speed development, spending the summer at skill development, improving this one area of your game. And some guys need to play. They haven't played enough. So it's really an individual thing, but you got to communicate with them, and you've got to have a plan. If you want them to continue to make the steps forward, you got to lay it out for them, or they'll say they won't know what to do.
Oh, for sure. And you being in the positions that you've been in and at the 4-year level for so long, and then, being there with them every day, I'm sure that advice and that guidance is second to none. So I love, that's basically a year in a nutshell as a McLennan baseball player. So I love it. And thank you so much for going into such detail. I do have some different get to know you questions for you. So just some quick hitters as far as that goes. But, the first question is, what is the latest thing that you've learned that has gotten you really excited?
Interesting. I don't know. We've added a few things. I think as a coach, you've got to continue to add. If, you could either have 30 years of experience where you're continuing to develop, or else you can have 1 year of experience that you've done 30 times. And I think that, if we're going to keep growing as coaches, we've got to keep looking at how other things are done. I'm really challenged by my assistant coaches on a daily basis. I think that's a big thing. Coaches, we've got to have assistant guys who are working for you, who bring something to the program that may be a little different than what you've seen, or their experiences are a little different. So they open up your eyes to things. And I think that while we have a way of doing things, we're foolish if we don't really incorporate that other idea from somewhere else that they bring in. Probably the two things that we've done this year that are kind of along the lines is one I stole from Steve Rodriguez and the Baylor baseball program. It's called live defense, and it's just a way of practicing defense at game speed, high repetitions, lots of different speeds of infield play. And what you basically do is you put two groups of infielders out at each position, 2 first basemen, 2 second basemen, 2 shortstops, 2 third basemen. You have a coach out there throwing BP from short distance, very quick. You have your outfielders and possibly your catchers that are hitting, and they're all trying to hit balls on the ground. So it's a way of them for working at hit and run plays, being able to stay on balls, control their barrel, put balls in play on the ground. And then you're just challenging your infielders to make all the plays. And, you'll have some balls that are hit with great backspin that are hit really hard. You'll have other balls that are top spin balls that they got to come get. And those infielders at each position just continue to rotate in. So third baseman's in, he makes a play, he gets back in line, the other third baseman's in. and it's very high paced, quick repetitions. As coaches, we're not coaching technique there. We're not coaching anything other than, hey, make the plays and have some freedom to make plays the way you make them. But trying to encourage the guys that, hey, you've got one play to make. This is the one. Can you make it? And we've seen great improvement from our infielders working on that. The other thing that I've never really done a lot of this that we've done now this year that's kind of interesting to me. We've always spent a lot of time with the machine hitting on the field, hitting fastballs on the field with our machine. I want our team to be able to crush fastballs. I want other teams' pitchers they throw us a 92 mile an hour fastball. I don't want it to be any problem for us. Let's knock the heck out of it. But we find that sometimes our guys end up cheating to that pitch, and then we're in the game time and we don't always handle the off speed stuff as well. So this year we're setting up the breaking ball machine out on the field, and we're just hitting breaking ball after breaking ball after breaking ball after breaking ball, and it's been fun to watch because our guys are improving. I think that anytime you can practice anything at game speed, make things more difficult and make them challenging and make them competitive, that what you end up finding is your kids, they love that. And, our guys are getting better. Our guys are getting better swinging the bat because we're hammering the off speed stuff a lot better than we used to. We're still trying to hit the fastball as well, but, it's been fun doing those kind of things. I don't know. Those are two things that continue to evolve and two little ideas that have been new to our program in the last couple of years that I think have really tried to help take us to the next place.
I love that. I feel like if we can all steal one drill or one thought process one thing from every person, we're going to be pretty good.
No question.
So the next thing I've got for you is, it's kind of the opposite. It's what's something that you used to believe that you've changed your mind about, or just something in general that you thought about and you're like, I think that there's a better way to do this.
Huh. Man, I don't know. That's a tough one there.
And it could be the curveball one, like you were just mentioning. Like that would have been the perfect answer for that too.
Yeah, I guess it would. I know this. I know that we have to evolve in coaching the players. This is my 31st year of coaching college baseball. And, these are different kids with different ways of being brought up than they were 31 years ago. And not that it's right or wrong either way. It's that it's the way it is. And so, but we have to handle these kids a little differently. I think we've got to be more psychologists right now than we've ever had to be before. We've got to be able to really lay out a vision and help these guys figure out where they're going. So, I don't know about something that I've figured out that I screwed it up. I'll tell you one thing that I know I did learn in my career. And it was earlier in my career. I mean, I had a kid at Baylor, one of my first years there as a hitting guy. We recruited him because he had power, and freshman year hit 10 home runs, showed power, but he struck out 60 times. And, that next year I made it a point that I'm going to help this guy. We're not going to strike out near as many times as we did the year before. And we didn't. He didn't strike out as many times, but I also took his power away from him. I think you got to figure out how you're going to get out of them what you wanted to get out of them without taking away their strength. You can't fix their weakness while you're taking away the strength is the reason that you recruited them in the first place. So I learned that a long time ago. And maybe that fits into the line with what have you learned? What would you not do again?
No, definitely. That's a great answer to that question, and something that I think if we're not thinking about that while we're trying to make changes, that I think that we're doing the kids a disservice, because I know that I've done that. Like, I know that I've been like, man, if you just struck out less and then it takes away what they're doing well, I think that's a perfect example.
And there's a happy medium there. I mean, I think you're right as a coach too, right? I mean, putting the ball in play is important, but if you're the guy that's going to be driving in all the runs and you're the 4-hole hitter, my gosh, if we get balls in play, but they're not in play like we want you hitting them, it really doesn't make much sense. So that was a young coach's mistake. Obviously, I'm not as young as I used to be. So I'm glad I learned that one.
No doubt. No, I'm right there with you. The next question is, what is one drill that your players love that we can steal from you?
That the players love. We've kind of got our guys that they've bought in on what we call offset hitting. And for me, the offset hitting drill is just throwing angle toss BP, from the open side. So left-handed hitters will be hitting and we'll be throwing it from just off to the third base side of BP. I've kind of told our guys over a period of time, and we've done this forever, but I call it the magic pixie dust. This is the magic pixie dust that's going to get you going again. Once you can stay on balls and drive balls the other way, all of a sudden the performance on the field starts to happen. So we'll do offset hitting, 2, 3, 4 times a month probably. And they've kind of bought into it. I liked it at least once this springtime. I was talking to my assistant and said, "Hey, what do we want to do today for hitting?" And he said, "The guys want to do offset hitting." And I was really excited about it because I know what it's done for us over the years. But it was neat that they kind of asked to do that. The other thing that they love is a drill that we've got that we call. Oh my goodness! I just lost the thought process. But it's a little competition at the end of the day, and we divide up our hitters into two teams: half right-handed hitters, half left-handed hitters, and we're trying to drive balls the opposite field. They love the competition of that. Anything you can set up like that, competition-wise, they love. And I can't even think of the name of it. But my gosh, I've got it. I've done it 100 times. Maybe it'll come to me here in a minute.
No doubt. That's perfect. What is one book or just resource in general? And I'm going to go ahead and throw out the Ron Polk baseball coaching handbook one more time. So what is one book or just resource, conference, anything that you would recommend for the listeners who they're learners, right? And that's why they're listening to the show. But is there anything that you felt has really made a positive impact on your career that you would recommend to them?
Couple things. Number one is this. We're blessed in this game because there are really, really outstanding coaches with lots of years of wisdom that have been willing to share their experiences with us. For every guy that's out there, I think being a part of the American Baseball Coaches Association has been an unbelievable experience for me. Getting a chance to go to their conventions, to hear the speakers, to agree with some guys, to disagree with other guys in my thought process about it. But it's always been something that's really, really helped me grow. So I'd encourage that. I think that, you mentioned Ron Polk's book. It's a great resource, but then the other thing is that the book that when you kind of gave me that question to think about, it's meant so much to me. And it's my favorite book of all time. And I consider myself a reader, even though I'm not a great reader. I don't just keep 4 or 5 books going at one time. Don't get me wrong. But The Traveler's Gift by Andy Andrews, I think is just loaded with so many great points of wisdom for us as coaches to help our kids learn how to grow up, how to be men, how to do things. And I would encourage. I bought it for my team one year as a Christmas gift years ago. I thought that much of it. I hope that they read it because I know that it's a really valuable book. But I would tell you, any coach that hasn't read The Traveler's Gift by Andy Andrews, that's got to be the next book that you buy and read.
Perfect. I love that. Well, Coach Thompson, that's all I've got for you today. And let me be the first to say thank you for just the wealth of knowledge that you brought today and just all of the different drills that you gave us and all of the wisdom that you bring is second to none. And so I do want to mute myself before we go and give you the opportunity to talk to any or all of our listeners. Is there anything else that you'd like to tell them before you go?
Well, I appreciate what you guys do, and I really appreciate the opportunity to get a chance to be on your show. I think you guys do a phenomenal job, and I've listened to a lot of your podcasts before and been really impressed. And so thank you for what you're doing for our game. The last thing I just say to guys is just this, as we get into the coaching, as you get into coaching, the wins and losses are all important to all of us because we want to keep our jobs. And those are all great. I know that, as a young coach, and I want to win championships and I want to win every game we play right now, but I know that it's not going to happen. And, the thing that I've learned over the course of my time is the relationships that you build and the lives that you invest in, I think are really the greatest treasure of our career. And so I just encourage you, continue to look out there for the guys. And, the guys that, there's going to be really successful kids that come through your program that aren't going to be great baseball players, but you can help play a part in their life. And it's something that I was blessed to be around coaches, Ron Polk, Hal Baird, Steve Smith, the people that I worked with that really took the personal thought process into the kids and their lives and took it personal that they wanted to impact their lives. Now that I'm, 56 years old and been in this for 31 years, I'll just tell you that the wins and losses, they come and go and they're great. But at the end of the day, if you don't have those relationships with those kids, you're gonna have wasted a lot of years and wasted a heck of an opportunity. And so for me, the greatest blessing that I've had out of this is the relationships and the players and the fun times as we've been through the challenges and the wins and the losses. And I just keep that in mind and I think if you're always taking care of the players, the wins and losses are going to take care of themselves as well. So that's all I got. I really appreciate what you guys do. Thanks so much for having me on. And I wish everybody successful seasons and great careers.
Thank you for listening to Ahead of the Curve. You can subscribe on your favorite podcast platform, which could include Apple Podcasts, Google, Spotify, Stitcher, or YouTube. And if you're enjoying the podcast, please share it on social media to help get the word out. Once again, thank you for joining us.